but yeah, so far that's it. Like that's what the whole show that I'm pivoting to now is gonna be quite interesting.
So you're
But
really
yeah,
exercising your producing roots, like your skill set.
yeah,
That's what I love about you.
exactly. I'm having
Yeah.
fun, man. Like I got
Yeah,
some new
that's
toys.
that's what it is, buddy. Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have my good friend here.
How's it going, man? Happy to be back.
No, it shouldn't be about anything. Like this is one life.
Yep, one life. Like fucking do it.
My guy.
Like she just got it. She totally understood it.
20 years old when I started just watching a lot of movies.
And it tells a story. I want to tell a story.
Christian, I just have to say, like, you were my first guest on this podcast, and I'm always looking forward to having you back on the podcast. I'm always looking forward to having a conversation with you. You always brighten up my day, buddy, and I mean that.
Thanks, man. Well, happy to hear it, man.
Yeah. Just like on back to that note, yeah, we haven't spoken in a long time, and a lot has happened. Obviously, we kept in touch, but I haven't had an episode on the Corner Talks podcast with you. And a lot has changed in that time period, a lot of things that I want to discuss with you today. First things first, congratulations. Christian now has his own podcast called Coffee and Croissant.
Yeah, with me, Christian Alphonse.
Christian
Exactly.
Alphonse. Isn't that amazing? I had to give the audience a moment to take that in, because if you've been following it since the first episode, Christian again was our first guest. He was the one that had faith in me, kind of like, gave me that first chance to, practice my interview skills on. And the rest is history. And now you have your own platform where you're able to invite guests, you're able to share their journeys. And I want to learn more about, this podcast and what led to its creation.
Perfect. Well, my name of my show is Coffee and Croissant with me, Christian Alphonse. It's a show about food and also traveling. And what really led up to creation of it was the fact that like I was at home and I was missing traveling, and I'm missing hearing stories about traveling and stories about eating food and meeting interesting people. So I was like, hey, let me make a podcast as well. Let me see if I can get some people over and we can discuss traveling and food and adventure. So far, it's been a fun journey. You definitely inspired me to do it as well, because I was asking you questions.
Yeah, I remember that. Anchor.com, boys. Anchor.com.
Anchor's pretty straight up, pretty straightforward. And and from there, I was able to make the podcast. So far, I started late in 2021. Have 4 episodes. I'm doing my 5th episode today. Hopefully gonna be out tomorrow. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it's been good so far. My podcast as of now has been really just been an update of what's going on with COVID. You were a guest at one of my shows. I very appreciate it.
We spoke about that was a 2-parter as well.
Yeah, that was 2 parts. We spoke about Italy and we ranked pasta dishes, and that was a lot of fun. That was like one of my most viewed, most played podcasts.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I feel honored to be on that podcast. We're going to keep numbers and keep going up from there, buddy. That's what it is, especially when we do those in-person podcasts.
Oh, definitely. I can't wait for those.
Yeah, I'm definitely, no joke, Christian. Like I was thinking about it. When things get better, like no reason, why I can't visit, see what's good. And we could even do like a on the road podcast. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I would love that, man.
Vlog style / podcast. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Like we're just talking about our journey. Yeah, buddy. And we 2 characters, always living it up.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I'm really excited for you. Congratulations again. Everybody check out Coffee and Croissant, this podcast hosted by yours truly, Christian Alphonse. I want to know from you, Christian, though. So this is a travel podcast, right? This is the intention.
It's a food and traveling podcast. So right now I've been focusing a lot about the food. My last show was about me traveling. So over the holidays, I went to Florida, and it was kind of a interesting journey, Canadian going to the States and seeing how they're handling the whole COVID Omicron situation, and seeing the contrast between Canada and the United States was quite shocking to me. And I thought that would be a really cool, interesting story. I invited my girlfriend. Me and her kind of spoke about it. We spoke about the Quebecers going abroad and causing chaos in the airplane and being stuck. but yeah, like that's the interesting of the show. But right now I'm kind of thinking about pivoting. For people that don't know, I also have a blog site, christianalphonse.com, that really focuses on traveling and food. And one thing that I really loved about doing a podcast was writing about pieces about like certain places in Canada that people go for travel destinations. And I thought it'd be kind of cool if I kind of turn those pieces into a podcast, an audio show, like more produced. So that's what I'm focused on right now. I'm thinking about the idea of doing a show about bread. I don't know if people love
Bread?
I love bread.
Like
Yeah,
artisan bread? Like making it in
Artisan
the
bread.
oven, the whole process?
Yeah, but the whole history of bread, starting with the bread fraud. I don't know if you heard about bread fraud when
Never
the
heard about
Romans.
this.
Yeah, when Romans existed,
Okay.
every baker had a special way of making their own bread, and they had the bread stamp on it, to the point in
Interesting.
which there was counterfeit bread. People were
It was
counterfeiting
almost like a
bread.
currency, like the product
Exactly.
was trademarked. Yeah.
But think about it, on those days, that was the most advanced technology that they had. It was like making fresh bread. Like
Is
was
that
a
where the
luxury.
expression comes from? Better than sliced bread?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I don't know if that came up out of it, but it's definitely has to be it. And like that's something I'm currently working on right now.
That's
Trying
amazing.
to bring some guests from the travel and food tech sector, seeing what they had to say about traveling food and how that's gonna change in the future. But yeah, so far that's it. Like that's what the whole show that I'm pivoting to now is gonna be quite interesting.
So you're
But
really
yeah,
exercising your producing roots, like your skill set.
yeah,
That's what I love about you.
exactly. I'm having
Yeah.
fun, man. Like I got
Yeah,
some new toys.
that's what it is, buddy. I noticed you got a new microphone, new headphones.
Yeah.
You know, again, if people have been following this podcast since day one, they'll remember me with my wired headphones and on my laptop with the shitty lighting.
Yeah.
But you know, we've come a long way, and we have much more to kind of go as we move along. But we just got to keep pressing, right? We got to keep going. I'm really happy to hear that you're doing something that you enjoy. That's something I always advocate on this podcast. And food and travel, right? We both love that. So when I came on your podcast and I was discussing, you know, Italy and my experiences, you know, the food being phenomenal and
Mhm.
the culture and the history being so rich and you know, educational, it was just amazing experience. So what kind of other guests like do you have lined up, or any like in the future? Are they like going to be friends? Are they going to be influencers, professionals? Do you have any like plans for that in terms of the
Nope.
guests you want to attract?
I have a list of guests that are written down.
Okay.
Now it's just trying to make sure that they have availability for me.
Gotcha.
As of like type of guests, mostly just entrepreneurs, people in the travel tech sector.
Gotcha.
I would love to talk to a food historian, and I've written a couple of names down that I found. I wrote pretty good articles about the history of food, mostly the history of bread, because that's the one I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
just having like friends around, like, you know, so we can just talk about traveling and food. I think that's what people love to hear. You know, they love to know what's going on, like where people are going and why, and seeing what's happening while they're stuck at home, just looking at the sun going by.
Yeah. Looking at the days pass by, man. I
Yeah.
remember watching one of your vlogs and it said something like people say another day, another dollar. You say another day, another donut.
Another day, another
What's
donut,
that?
man.
Is that like a thing people eat in Ottawa a lot, or is that just your
No.
expression?
That was just my expression. That was literally so I was
That's so
shooting
funny.
this in Montreal, and it
Yeah.
was literally a donut shop in front of me. So I was like, oh, another day, another dollar. Well, for me, it's another day, another donut. Let's see if I can make this.
You know what? It suited. It was definitely fitting. You know, because I know you, right? Your personality.
Yeah.
And when you said that remark, I died of laughter. I don't know why. Like I didn't know what it was referring to, but I could see Christian saying that because like the way you said, what's the expression? Another day, another dollar. Why like another day, another
The
donut.
donut.
Just amazing. And you know, just going back now to this podcast, it extends not just, you know, on an audio platform and like video, kind of like what we're doing now, but is this also in your vlog styles that I see? Are you branching out?
Yes.
Are you branding everything here?
Yeah, I'm running everything here. So basically, the goal is like whatever I'm doing that I'm enjoying doing. I think it would make sense for me just to bring that, you know, outside of multiple platforms, either through writing, to the vlog video, or to the podcast. So yeah, so everything's kind of extension of itself. When I kind of like wrote down and theorized what to do, I thought about creating like my own metaverse, my whole food reverse.
Oh,
I try to
that's
call it
amazing.
I try to call it food travel universe, so I call it food traverse.
Well, that's definitely a trending technology, right? And something to not be
Yeah,
dismissed, right? If you talk to a lot of
it,
the hip entrepreneurs, they will tell you like definitely you know, set your sights on the future, and that is NFTs, crypto, metaverse, all that stuff. How
definitely.
would you go about that? How would you go about like developing a metaverse? Like, would you just start buying land in Sandbox, or I don't know if
No,
this
no,
is over
no.
everyone's head in
That
the audience, but just curious.
yo, no, no, no. For me myself, my biggest thing right now is just building a community of people that
Hmm.
are like
Important. Yeah.
interested in what I'm trying to do.
Hmm.
Like like first and foremost, like if you're a fan of mine, please reach out to me. Like I love talking to people who are like
Yep.
in that sector and seeing like what's going on. So that would be my first step before thinking about building a sandbox. I know like a lot of celebrities are buying a bunch of land.
Yeah, man.
Snoop Dogg is
Bunch. They're all
buying like
putting
a
it in their
big.
display pictures too. They're all proudly showcasing their NFT purchases. Logan Paul was saying he dropped 20 mil. He has like an
Oh
NFT wallet worth
Lord.
$20 million in just NFTs.
Oh man.
I don't know if that figure is exaggerated or kept
Oh,
modest, but the reality is that these guys are spending big money, and all it takes, I tell everyone, is that, you know, laugh about it now, but you should get like a big studio, you know, someone like Disney, right,
hmm?
that incorporates all their IP into like a metaverse or some sort of NFT. Like I'm talking like a verified NFT of like the Little Mermaid, Ariel,
Yeah.
10,000 different ways, done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people are gonna the market, the IP has been built for like over 100 years, and then you got people that are into collection, right? Collectabilities, assets
Yeah.
that they can like
But
showcase, right?
but like a big point that you just said is like, a company like Disney, like they already have their own audience, like that audience part is so important. A lot of people I'm seeing a lot of people rushing creating like crypto projects and all this type of stuff. Like they don't have like a group of people that just follows them. And like when they
Yeah,
create the project, it doesn't last because no one actually believes in it.
yeah. And Christian, you said it right on the head, and I was a little bit you know, testing you only because like we do that as friends. We just want to see
Yeah.
like where our heads at. Especially like with this podcast. I remember you were always asking me
Yeah.
about like views, right? You said, how many views you
Yeah.
getting? You okay there?
Yeah.
For me, the reason why I brought it up is because I'm curious, like, uh, are you putting more emphasis on the community, the value that you're bringing, as opposed to investing in it, going all out, investing in a technology? And that was the right answer, right? You have to build a
Yeah.
community. You know, this podcast, you know, it's essentially a Zoom call, right?
Yeah.
Press record, two guys in their rooms, like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Um, but it's touched a lot of lives. It's inspired a lot of people. People have reached out to me, whether it's creatives, whether it's entrepreneurs, whether it's people suffering from, you know, mental illness, right?
Mm.
And at the end of the day, it all comes down to the value you're bringing. It comes down to the
Yeah.
content. You know, you don't need a flashy studio. Yeah, it does help. Eventually, you want to grow and get there. But I've seen podcasts, man. They got the lights, they got the soundproof walls, they got the big mics. But what they're saying, what's coming out of their mouth, is just no substance. You know what I mean? And
Like no
not to
life
crap on it,
experience.
not to crap on anyone, but I'm saying is that like I know you have to be very mindful of like what you're offering. And someone could say the same thing about this podcast, right? But you
Mhm.
have to know in your heart that you have the good intentions, right? Like with your podcast, Coffee and Croissant, right? You
Mm.
know what kind of value you want to bring. And I think as long
Mhm.
as you stay authentic, you can't lose,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. One thing like I'm seeing like right now as a content creator is just like the amount of time it takes, man. Holy, it takes such a long time
Oh,
during the
buddy, do you
day.
understand? Do you appreciate now what I do for a living?
Oh, dude, I've already appreciated what you do,
I
man.
know,
And
I know, I'm teasing you.
I was in that world, but like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I completely forgot, like, to shoot
Yeah, yeah.
something, to edit something, to produce something, to write something, to plan something,
Bro, but it's not even,
it takes forever.
and let me tell you something, it's not even just what you just described about like the actual production process. I'm talking about
Mm,
like the marketing, because that's what's going to make or
yeah,
break you, right?
yeah.
And what I mean by that is like I spent the whole day yesterday converting like some of my podcast episodes into IG reels or YouTube
Hmm.
shorts,
Hmm.
like a day,
Yeah,
and I only did 3 episodes. Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like it takes time, and but you put in those hours, and you know you can reap the rewards.
yeah.
I think that's what it just comes down to. But for you, because you're starting out like your podcast and you're still developing the episodes, I definitely, yeah, would just focus on like producing the actual piece of content and then seeing how you're going to market it as you go. And that also comes with time. That comes naturally.
Yeah,
But
takes
yeah,
time. Yeah,
definitely a time consuming hobby, craft, whatever you want to call it, career.
yeah.
It's a lot of work. But on the note, on the subject that you created this podcast in light of, you were alluding to the fact that people are in their homes, people are being, kind of miserable, that they can't get out of their houses. They can't really explore, travel, whatever have you. Let's be honest, we're referring to the pandemic. And the pandemic seems to be, at this point, every time we speak, depending on when you hear it, it's either at its most severe or it's a very minor kind of occurrence that's happening in the background. So at this point, it's fluctuating in severity. So I want to know from you, because I've always been fascinated with your conversations about the economy and like where our country's headed. And not to get too serious or political about this, but I am curious, like your thoughts, like where do you see everything going with regards to the status of the health of the nation?
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna go too well, to be quite honest.
Okay.
Just seeing what I'm seeing locally right now in Ottawa, and there's been like a series of break-ins in small businesses here.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about this.
Man, it's been
this making the
crazy.
news?
Well, it's making the local news.
Making the local news. Oh my god! If it's on CNN, then I pay attention.
It's pay attention.
I'm joking.
No.
What's
like,
up? So what's going on with these businesses? So there's been looting.
It's not looting, but people are breaking and entering. There's like a local. I forgot the name of the tattoo parlor, but it's like a tattoo place here in Hindenburg.
Okay.
They had like they have a Terminator figurine up front, and there's a burglar that just burglarized a place. They stole the cash register, which apparently was worth like $1,000 or something, but like inside the cash register don't have like $50 of change. So I was like, oh no, like
yeah, a lot of businesses do that now. Everything's electronic.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 21st century.
But like that's nuts to me. Like they broke in, like the door must have been like $4,000, and the cash register is like $1,500. So it's like they destroyed 5,500 in total to still $50, and that's being ongoing right now in Hindenburg and Westboro. So for me, like I'm all about what's going on locally, because what's going on locally will trigger what's going on nationally.
Right.
And if I'm seeing those local businesses are struggling, like they can't have people come in and eat the food, or people have to book appointments to get tattooed, or just people can just maneuver and do a lot of spontaneity, it's very tough. So I'm a bit gloom. I think this businesses are struggling very, very hard. Who tends to profit the most is people in the tech sector who are creating solutions,
of course,
for the small businesses.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like mom and dad, those type of shops are the backbone of Canadian economy, and I don't think it's going to go well for them. I think the politicians are focusing on the wrong thing.
Right.
Let's move past this pandemic. Let's see what we can do to help the small businesses so they can get back to their feet and actually get going. But we're gonna wait and see. I'm just gonna wait and see. But I think the small businesses are struggling. I think small relief funds is ultimately not really going to be very beneficial for them, because it's only a quick fix to the long-term problem. Because if you're seeing, like, I don't know if you saw this, but like all of the kids' mental health is going down the drain. Like,
yeah, you were telling me about this. Yeah,
can barely go out, see their friends, so they're meeting their friends virtually.
The formative years have been shot, right?
Exactly. So now you still have this pandemic and creating all this fearfulness. So people are afraid to go out. They're always going to be aware that there is a sickness and they don't know what to do. So I hope the narrative of the COVID pandemic thing changes. It was crazy to see how the Americans are dealing with it compared to Canadians, because the Americans, it's straight business. No one's gonna miss.
No time to sleep. Yeah.
No one's gonna miss a paycheck over there in America. But despite the politics and the issues that's going on, I am seeing, when I was out in Florida, I saw small businesses flourishing compared to what's going on here in Canada. Yeah. compared to what's going on here in Canada. But it's a different set of issues, right? Like two different
Yeah, it's a different
country,
culture.
two different cultures. But
Yeah.
you know, small businesses, I don't know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be very tough for them the next few years.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe that statement, right? Like, obviously, I believe it in the sense of I've been living it for the last 2 years, but I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's not these relief aids; it's a quick fix. You know, I'm a beneficiary of like CERB, right? Like, I've been one of those people that signed up first day. But when I look back, like now that I have a career, now that I have my small business that I run, I say like that was temporary. Like that was not. It puts you in a fixed mindset, like, oh, you know, that's all I need, whatever. It gets you comfortable, but that's the danger, right? You can't survive off of that money. And then if they pull it from you, then you're really going to be out of luck. So it's very important that in the meantime, you're developing skills, or at least looking for a different line of work, maybe in the tech sector, or at least having your small business adapt to the growing technologies that we see today, right? Like small businesses that are not on Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats, like if they're still not on it, or if they're still not proficient with it, there's a problem. Something's going to be happening. They're not going to be surviving anytime soon.
And just to add to that, Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes, like it's not like these platforms can like optimize the sales for the small businesses. Like that's not how they operate. You know, like ultimately, your business needs to be marketable and advertisable. Yeah. So like, you know, if people want pizza, they're not gonna go scroll down the list of pizzas. They're gonna see who's the top first in the area. Sure. So
I just mean like those business. Yeah, no, I mean those apps people use, like those restaurants use. I'm saying that just for the bare minimum, like we'll get them a break even, right? That's if they do know how to utilize it optimally. But essentially that, right? We were talking about like our podcasts. At the end of the day, as good as your content is, your conversation, you have to know how to market it, right?
Yeah.
And I give a lot of credit to you. You and I have a lot of back and forth about that, about like, you know, you advising me, right? When I had my episodes, I remember launching like 1 hour episodes. And then you said something like, let's be real, like someone at 27 years old, our age, whatever, going to be watching 1 hour episodes? No, they're going to want to watch clips. And then so I started making them into 4 or 5 minutes. And then, you know, the new year, right? Coming into the new year, I realized, wow, YouTube Shorts, my drawings are getting like 1,000 views. Yeah. If I do that with my clips, boom, right? So I think it's all about like constantly adapting and constantly learning how you can kind of improve your approach to marketing as a business. You know, I'm still like extremely new to a lot of this. Like I'm not saying I have it all figured out, but I think the first step is having the humility that you don't understand something and then taking action and like actually executing it on it. But I also speak for those, and I bring this up because the ones that are really trying their heart out and they're just getting like sucker punched with these lockdowns, the pandemic, the restrictions, because it's brutal out there. And like you said it with the States, it's do or die. It's the Wild West. It's kind of like you want to make money, you know, it's your right, your constitutional right to go after it, to go after the American dream. So with here, what I'm asking you is like, when do you think it'll stop? Or do you think it'll stop? The restrictions, the regulations, like, do you think they'll come to a point when they say like, this has now become an epidemic and we have to accept it as the flu, and as such, we have to take the right health precautions?
I think it will stop. I think that's a good question. I think it's going to stop when the federal government says, okay, we need a federal mandatory vaccine. That's it. You know, as soon as they say that,
yeah, you know what?
As soon as they say
I say that too. Yeah, I say that too. Like, I say that too. I was curious where you stood on that. Yeah. People don't want to hear that. People want to throw words around. I don't want to live in a dictatorship and this and that, but you know what's coming. Like there are people that are not vaccinated that I know of. Again, no judgment towards them, but they've openly said to me like, yeah, but when they make it mandatory, I'll just have to get it. Yeah. I'm like, so from now in between the time that they are going to do it, why, you know what I mean? Like, not that I'm for pressuring anyone to get vaccinated, but it's like, if you're willing to take it when they do make it mandatory, what's stopping you then? What's stopping you when you do it now? Right. So it's kind of like, again, we don't want to get in these political subjects, but I think that's what it's coming to, man. Like they're going to just say it's affecting the bottom line, as Christian knows, as an accountant. They're going to run the numbers, right? Because it's only been 2 years, but you get that to 5 years. Trust me, they start looking at the numbers and saying, okay, something's got to give. Did you hear about this taxing on people that are not
Quebec.
vaccinated? Can you explain, clarify that for the audience, but also more for myself?
Sure.
Like, what's happening here, Christian?
So I heard about it. So I'm not an expert per se, but François Legault, who's the Quebec premier, was hinting at the fact that they might start imposing a vax tax in Quebec. I'm not quite sure how they're going to do it and how they're going to check who's vaxxed and who's not vaxxed.
Right.
That to me is a little bit odd, but I do think Quebec has a good infrastructure with their vaccine passport. So maybe that would be a way for them to check, but I don't know if that's going to infringe in people's rights, because you can go through people's health record to see who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated. So I don't know how they're going to do it, but that definitely like jumpstart a rise of people taking their first vaccine in Quebec. So I think that's probably a good way of taking a look how they're strategizing for it. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do. I don't know if it's going to be on effect or not. Trudeau said like he'll talk about it later during the year or during the month, but he hasn't said anything much about it as my understanding as of now.
I could be wrong, but I thought Trudeau did voice that he's considering like there might be some sort of taxation.
I don't know. Like I didn't read up to that part. Trudeau's too busy right now trying to figure out what's going on in Ukraine and Russia to be concerned about what Quebec is going on, because that situation over there looks very intense. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, sometimes people would argue. Sometimes people would. Oh, okay. So I got it here. Correction: Trudeau not ready to endorse Quebec's plan to tax the unvaccinated. That was a CBC article. Yeah, I understand. I just, when I heard the headline, I was like, "What? We're doing that now? Like that's strange." But I guess it's the only way in some ways, right? Like, we can't keep going into these restrictions. Like, it's crazy to me that we're still talking about this, variants and such.
And different places, Canada is doing completely different. People in Newfoundland and Labrador are doing their own different ways, and it seems like it's helping them out. I think from what I remember, they were also in a lockdown and restriction. I'm not quite sure about BC. I think BC is out and open. They're just out doing their own thing, and there's that many rules and restrictions in it for them. Okay. But from my understanding, people that went to BC during the summer said it was like a blast to be there. So I don't know. Like, I think the federal vaccine mandate is definitely going to happen. Right now, truckers are like are doing the protests on a highway. I don't know if you saw that. So what's going on with that? So a bunch of truckers who are like doing cross-border transportation for goods, they're opposed this whole vaccine mandate. They don't think the government should have a right to tell them to get vaccinated if they're going across the border or not. The United States, their rules for unvaccinated people is a bit more lax than Canada's rules. Right. So they don't understand, if the United States is open, why shouldn't Canada be more lenient to them, especially if they play a major part of the supply chain. So they make a good point, and there's not a lot. It's not like we have lots of truckers laying here in the Canadian economy that can do this job right away. It is a job that's very time intensive. It takes a lot of time to do. It takes a lot of effort. So for them to protest right now, they bring up good points. So
yeah, I heard about that with the mandate with the truckers, right? With
exactly.
the whole, like, that's going to be affecting transportation, and they're already seeing the repercussions of that.
The highway right now we're kind of locked down. They said the highway for Ottawa was a bit slow, or there'll be a little bit of traffic. So I don't know. But hey, as soon as they mention it, I think this thing would be a lot more easier and restrictions would be more lax.
Yeah. Honestly, man, like, I bring this up because we don't really know the end result. We don't really know the future. None of us really. We're just humans here. But I ask you because of your background in economics and finance, and you would always update me on the status of the economy, like where the direction the government's heading. But at the end of the day, the way I look at it, man, I'm sure you have the same attitude, is you just got to adapt to whatever happens or whatever's thrown at you, right?
Yes, 100%. Like, you have no other choice but to adapt. I think that's the biggest keyword of 2020 so far, just adapting to what's going on. I don't know if you've been reading about the great resignation that's been happening in the States, where many people who are like
Yeah.
working at high position jobs, or jobs that are mid-tier, even, working class jobs, working fast food jobs, they just resign and quit.
Yeah, I heard
And
about
now
that.
they're just refiguring their life out and applying for different jobs that they always wanted to do but never had the chance of doing it. But they used the opportunity when they had their payments relief for those people, similar to us when we had served.
Mhm.
They used the opportunity to figure themselves out and figure out where they're gonna go. So I think it's quite interesting to see how they're doing things in America. In Canada, haven't heard much about Great Resignation, from my understanding. Have you heard anything about a Great Resignation in Canada? I don't think there has been much
I don't know
here.
about I don't know. I don't think it's on the scale of the US, but again, it is proportion, right?
Mhm.
Like to our population, we don't really have, we have 10 times, they have 10 times more the population that
Yeah.
we have. But what I'm getting at is, yeah, like that's fascinating to me. Like, what do you think will that happen? That will happen. What do you think will happen with regards to those sort of industries, fast food, retail? Are they all going to be automated? Because
Yeah.
our generation, right? Our generation, the Gen Zs, I can only imagine the generation after that. If they're growing up seeing people making millions off of YouTube, off of TikTok, let's be honest, OnlyFans, which is, a reality. Do you think it's going to be that intense, man, where like people are just going to like say, why should I be making this amount of money? Let's be honest
Yeah.
here.
Let's be honest, like the creative economy, as everyone's saying it. I've seen a bunch of people in VC saying that. I do think that is going to be a big part of the future. People are going to produce their own content to entertain. It's crazy. It's crazy for me to see that personally, because when I grew up, wanting to become a celebrity, an artist, a filmmaker, that was like a once in a lifetime million thing to do. But now all you gotta do is have a good YouTube channel. You can
Yeah.
like hopefully get people to watch you and you can blow up. So I do think that's gonna be a big thing. I've been reading a lot more about what people have been talking about is a way for people to make money while playing games. Have you ever heard of that before?
Twitch?
It's not Twitch. No, it's not
Oh, it's
actually not
not.
part of Twitch. It's a whole complete different way of understanding
Do they test
how
video games? Or is
they're
that a
not testing
separate?
video game.
No?
I'm trying to figure out what the word is for it now. But
Mm.
one of the Reddit co-founders was saying that in the future people will get paid to play games. I think it has to do something with cryptocurrencies and mining,
I
but
think so too. Yeah.
I'm not quite tech.
Web3,
Web
right?
3.0, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like it's quite interesting to see this whole shift because ultimately, I think this jobs fast food. I do think those jobs are valuable to have if you're a young teen. Like
Well, I'm
you need
searching it up
to
right now, buddy, and it's saying there's it's just like in terms of like getting paid, like what I was saying with Twitch, like get paid to do live stream, try your hand at game journalism. So I don't think they haven't opened the possibilities of Web 3.0,
that having
but
said that,
I can see that. I don't know. I'm just
okay.
like scanning. I'm just scanning. I'm sure like it's
But-
something to do that because I've heard of that too with the metaverse, right?
Yeah, put like if you just put this keyword Reddit co-founder play games for money as his keywords, I think something will pop up there.
Yeah. Even
but yeah, man.
yeah. Sorry, you're gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, like I think young kids are just realizing that like their future is in their own hands, which is such a cool thing to realize when you're young age. I wish I knew that a little bit more younger than now, but you can create your own future, you can create your own destiny. Like just as
I
long
believe it. Yeah.
you focus on core principles such as building community, engaging with audience, and just talking, seeing, and being part of that community, you'd be fine. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm seeing different trends all the time right now, especially in this space now. It's nuts.
Yeah. I'm seeing people like, advertisements on Instagram. Like you could get paid to create advertisements or
Yeah.
start or learn how to make advertisements for the metaverse. It's going to be a huge shift in, make how to make money, knowledge. Yeah, it's going to be quite the cultural shift. I don't know if a lot of people will be ready. I'm kind of scared myself. What's your take on the whole like Web3 transition, man?
I'm excited for it. I don't think it's gonna happen the way people are saying it's gonna happen.
Like as
I
fast
think
as sudden.
as fast as sudden, like people would make it seem like it's gonna be like Ready Player One tomorrow. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, same here. I think Ready Player One, I don't know if I was texting a buddy or you, but
Yeah.
my belief is that Ready Player One we'll see that on the cusp of like maybe when we're like our parents' age or older. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
like 40s and 50s. Would they
Yeah, and
really
it won't
try
even
to?
be, but it'll be like a crude rendering. Like it won't be. You never know. Again, like technology is moving at an exponential speed, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like I think it's more gradual. Like you have to also keep in mind, like because we talk about it at work all the time. Like yeah, everyone's on board, but when I hear everyone, I mean like 80, 90%, but 89% of the population still doesn't even know what Web3 is. Like talk to someone on the
Mhm,
street. Yeah, they might have heard of an NFT, they might have heard of
mhm,
Bitcoin. Do they even know like do they have knowledge of how to utilize it? Because that's a big difference, right? How
mhm,
to take advantage of it. Because what I'm getting at is to get to the level of Ready Player One,
mhm.
I feel it's like it has to be fully integrated into our society, into our culture.
Now,
Would you agree?
I 100% definitely agree. But one of the biggest things about Ready Player One is like he was a bug. He was a fictional
It was
bug.
a bug, yeah.
Yeah, you
Hey,
know.
buddy. Hey. Let's not undermine our books. 1984. You know what I'm talking about.
I
1984
know
was
it's pretty
was
for
a
George
prediction on
Orwell.
basically everything we're living now.
Well, like like it's interesting about people bring up 1981 because they're talking as though people are not like social beings. We're all social beings.
Yeah.
It does make sense that there will be someone overlooking what we're doing. Of course, that happens all the time. There's always
Yeah.
been spies. There's always been
Now
people
they're
over.
just they don't send people, they send cameras.
They send cameras, exactly.
You're saying
like
in
people are
ancient
making.
times they just had a big 6'5" buff dude watching you.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's nuts. Like people even with the vaccine, people are saying like, oh, they're gonna use the vaccine to track us. No, you get your cell phone. You already been tracked. You know,
Yeah.
like
Hey, we were having that same argument. When I heard that, I was like, should I burst their bubble and say, do you have a Google account? Do you have an Instagram?
yeah.
Do you have a do you have a cell phone provider?
Man,
Um,
they're gonna know where I live. You TikTok your place all the time. Like
and there's people
these
that
machines are
and what
learning.
about what about people with smart home security? I hope everyone that has a smart
Yeah,
home security system is vaccinated and doesn't believe into
yeah.
that conspiracy because smart home security system, yeah, they're watching you even if you don't want them to watch you.
Yeah, they're watching you.
Yeah.
Like Alexa or Google Assistant is listening to you all the time.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm saying this with all love. I don't think they have all the server space to actually listen to all the human conversations that's going on. But I do think nowadays with this whole Web 3.0, it's not gonna be what it's like in the movies. I do think AR is gonna be a big play. I got very excited when Nike bought an AR company recently last year, like the last few months.
Mhm.
I think that's pretty cool. I love Nikes. I love sneakers. So seeing them in that space would be cool, and seeing what they can do with your shoes, especially if you have Nike shoes, you can transform them in an AR world, make it look cooler. That'd be quite interesting. But to be ultimately to say, like, it's not gonna be like the movie. I don't think so. Like, I think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
cool thing. But
What go
the
ahead, man.
everyday. But sorry, I'm going off on a rant. But like the
Yeah,
everyday
tell me.
people
This is all it means.
that
Yeah.
work 9 to 5, it's not gonna matter to them. Like
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how many blue collar jobs there is out there. There's more blue collar jobs than white collar jobs right now. The people that
Yeah.
work with blue collar and construction or
Like
plumbers,
trades.
like trades, like
Yeah.
that stuff is not gonna be useful to them any type of way. It's only being useful for people that work at an office. So like people are making it seem like it's gonna be a big game changer. It's not. It's not gonna be a
But
game
people
changer,
don't
man.
realize that, like, because people are arguing, they're going so far as to say, like, I heard Tim Dillon on Joe Rogan, right? He's another comedian. He was like,
Yeah.
people don't want to live, and whether he's partially joking or not, he's like, people don't want to live in the real world anymore. Like, you know how much money it costs to buy a house, and I'm like, even if the metaverse is a beautiful utopia,
Mhm.
it's you're still a human being. Like,
Mhm.
do you feel me on this? Like, the real thing is always going to be better and always going to be more fulfilling
Yeah.
than something that's digital. Like you were just
Yeah.
describing like Nike and like, yeah, that's a great gimmick, right? That's a great,
Mhm.
like, you
Yeah.
know, I would love that, right? Like, oh, I have like these Nike Air Force, but when I take off those goggles, I rather
Mhm.
like touch the shoe, feel it, actually put it on. Like there's a different sensation. I'm sure they're going to research and develop how they can, like, they're gonna enhance like sensibilities that you're able to like smell, see, touch. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna actually like be fully immersed. But I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like it won't be the same thing. That's just an opinion, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're also a little bit narrow-minded towards it, because a lot of people, they compare it to the internet. So when the internet first came out, you know what I mean? Like, apparently it was, we don't remember that era, but the internet was almost like the wild, like no one knew what to do with it, right?
Yeah.
No one knew how to write code. And if they did, it was like garbage. Like, some of the websites were like nasty, like just really unprofessional. And now we're entered in the Web 2 phase, where there's regulations, there's companies, there's, ownership of websites and things like that. And now Web 3 is individuals instead of corporations can now own what's traveling on the web. So fascinating technological revolution. They just keep talking about it nonstop. Really curious how it's going to go. I'm into video games, so I'm always for the whole idea of Ready Player One.
Yeah, same here. Likewise.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077. Can you imagine that? But yeah, man. So great information on that with regards to the metaverse. And, because I remember you were the first one, to be honest. Now my work does that for me, but you're the first one to inform me about, smart contracts and the metaverse and Web3 and everything like that.
See, like parts like this, like that's a good part you bring up, the smart contract part. I think that would be the game changer for the everyday person.
Right.
Like, that's the game changer. But like having people live in a fictional universe where like we're all avatars and we're walking, we're talking. It's like, yeah, it seems like Sims. I played Sims. Sims was fun.
Yeah,
Sims
was fun.
But I don't want to live there. I don't think most people don't want to live there. I think most people want to have their life a lot easier in terms of dealing with business. So if I was someone in the trades, smart contract would be good, because as soon as I do the job, I get paid right away. I don't have to talk to my client. I don't have to go back and forth. The money is already in the escrow, and I did a job, boom, posted to someone, they see I did a job and I get paid. I think that's the game changer in terms of Web 3.0, in terms of like cryptocurrency and the blockchain. But I don't think, putting the goggles on is the future, to be quite honest. Maybe for education, that would be cool.
Honestly, I saw a video on like Meta, like that whole Facebook rebranding and what they're going to be doing. Look, great. Like you said, fun if you're in a business that provides services, you're working remote. I would excel in it. I'm an editor. Well, not an editor. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a writer director, but editing is one of my skill sets. But I prefer going on set, you know what I mean? Dealing with people, the human interaction, the element, right? Like, editing is one thing. I don't mind that being at home. I could do that now, right? I'm doing that right now, actually, working remote for a Los Angeles company. But the human interaction, going out, let's say I cast you in a film, talking to you, seeing you in the eyes. I don't want to do that from home. What kind of content will we be making? How will it look in the future? Will someone be able to pull it off? I'm sure someone, there's always that talented, that genius out there. But for most of the filmmakers, for most of the movie going audience, I feel like they'll detect if it's authentic, if it's real, if it's lifelike. You can actually reach out and grab it. And that's something that I would like. Again, I don't know if it's a characteristic or something, or my inept way of adapting to possibility, like the future, but I like enjoy physical contact. I enjoy like, something that's in the presence, right? That you can see, touch, smell, whatever have you. Like, the whole thing about, like you said, like to completely live your lifestyle with goggles on. I don't know, man. Like, I can't comprehend that. People talking about getting girlfriends in the metaverse. It's like, what are you guys talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, can I talk about this a bit more? I feel like this.
All right, we touched a heated subject. Let's get it.
Because, like, okay, do you know the rapper T Grizzly? He's like an American rapper from Detroit.
Okay.
He had a bunch of hit songs, but right now he has like a full GTA 5 community.
Oh, wow.
That just supports him. And they all play in the same sandbox. Some of them are his fans, some of them are complete randoms. Okay. And like, they're all like playing make-believe in GTA world. It's so nuts to me. And like, I'm watching all these videos.
On Metaverse? Sorry, on make-believe in the GTA world.
in a GTA world. So like some of them will pretend to be cops, some of them will pretend to be a judge, some of them will pretend to be gangsters, some of them will
Oh,
pretend to be businessmen.
they assume the role like in their
They
avatar,
assume
like
the
as their
role
character.
in the
Yeah.
avatar. Exactly. It's similar to what the young kids are doing in Roblox, right? When they're like, I'm in Roblox, I'm gonna be a mermaid. So I'm gonna be like having the fins and I'll be swimming around. I'm gonna talk to all of my other mermaid friends. It was just so interesting to me because Chi Drizzly, his demographics are young males, probably around the age of 15 and up. So 15 to probably like 29 who are into like gangster music, who are also into gaming and also into the hip hop culture. Like it's cool to see him interact with his fans and them playing this kind of fake believe universe with GTA 5. And I could see him stepping into the space of metaverse where he has the whole T Grizzly world and all of his fans are interacting with him in that universe. That to me makes 100% sense. And I think that would be the future of the metaverse, to be my personal opinion,
Oh
where it's
yeah.
like a unique curated experience based on a celebrity. That makes sense. But like,
That's a reasonable transition. Like you created the value of the community already, and then you're
yeah,
bringing that into the metaverse. It's still on the subject of entertainment, right?
exactly. But like seeing like my mom doing that, like come on,
That's
like that
wild,
makes
man.
no
I know. I'm
sense.
telling you, things are changing fast, man. Um,
Okay.
Speaking of things changing fast, we've reached what 2022 already,
Mhm.
and 2 years. 2020, man. The pandemic has come; it's still here. And 2021 has been quite an eventful year for both of us. You know,
Mhm.
any moments that you're most proud of looking back on 2021?
2021, honestly, my proudest moment was just to be able to, like continue the year. I was able to travel a lot. That made it pretty cool. Doing the podcasting and vlogging and the YouTube stuff and the writing, that's been actually probably my proudest moment because that's something I've always wanted to do and I've always dabbling doing it. But now I'm out in the open. I put my name on it, so I'm
Yeah,
accountable for it.
yeah,
There's no pen names.
yeah,
So like that to me is like my proudest moment because I was doing it, but like I was hidden. But now I'm like, okay, people know this is actually me. This is actually my opinion.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
Quite interesting conversation I'm having with people off the side about the things I'm doing and saying, but it is what it is.
That's great, man. So yeah, vlogs, travel. Yeah, that was a big thing for you, right? Being able to resume travel,
Resuming travel, big thing for
getting
me.
back, right? But once you got
Yeah.
vaccinated, that was a big thing for you, right? You went to Florida.
Hmm.
You went to Mexico or Cancun?
No, I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico,
Okay.
but I got canceled, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we now enter 2022, a lot of people making resolutions, a lot of
Hmm.
people anticipating what's to come. Any areas you'd like to improve on, or are there any things you want to
Yes.
accomplish in yourself or your business?
My biggest thing right now, 2022, is just, connecting with people, like creating like those deep connections, deep ties, either with friends, longtime friends like yourself, or just people that just meet in the street and just make a connection with them and create a network. That's something I've always been working on, but now 2022, I'm making that my number one priority. Like I'm contacting people that I haven't spoken to since early this pandemic.
Right.
And they're like, hey, I'm like, hey, are you doing? Are you still alive? They're like, yeah, we're catching up. It is cool, man. Like I miss that a lot. I realize how much I miss just reconnecting with
Yeah.
people. Even if
Same.
it's for 5 minutes, it's still good just to hear someone else's voice that I'm spoken to for a while and seeing how they're doing and handling this whole pandemic. But yeah, 2022, just networking and like contacts and just creating deeper ties. What about yourself? What's your resolution?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, man, it's just about building those relationships, like you said, expanding the podcast, marketing the brand,
Mhm.
much more effectively, as I'm doing with creating more style pieces of content, really capitalizing on social media,
Mhm.
exploiting it as much as I can, really,
Yeah.
to get the 94 Productions brand out there and Daniel Calderon brand, right?
Mhm.
And also because primarily why I entered the creative space is to make more short films, connect with more talented people, collaborators, and really go from there, man. Right? We had this conversation before the podcast. If you set a fixed goal in your head, I need to do this by this time, you might set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Rather, set yourself up for a broader goal, work towards that, a bigger goal, and you'll get there. You know what I mean? And pivot, be open to change, be open to making those transitions if you need to, right? Whether it be an industry, whether it be a form of content that you're putting out there, or how you approach a relationship, right? Like in the sense of a relationship, whether it be platonic or romantic, professional, knowing like what serves you best, right? Are they serving to you becoming the best version of yourself, or are they diminishing that? That's something that I'm looking at 2022. I'll be honest with you, right? There's a lot of people that I would, a lot of people I consider to be close friends, people that are in my life that are making me feel better, like yourself, uplift me. And we talked about this, and there's people that, you have to just kind of redirect it and see like, what is really, how it's really going to benefit you and your career. I think that's really important for people to take in.
Wow, that's so deep, man. Like, especially people that like you need to like close off that relationship with, because it's just always like it's always something with them, Like, that's the hardest thing.
And I always say it, man, like it's nothing towards the person, really. You just have to get to a point where you have to be selfish with yourself. A lot of people don't want to take in that notion, but it's the reality. Like, the only way you're going to see results, the only way you're going to be at your optimal self is if you put yourself above everything. You put yourself, how you can be just really effective in whatever you're trying to accomplish, I'm not to get off tangent or anything like that, but this also goes like professionally, right? And business wise. I just have to know how it will serve your brand, your business, and again, like the goals you set for yourself in 2022 and beyond.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for people to have that strength, that bravery in themselves, that conviction to kind of like realize their dreams and realize what it takes to get there. Because a lot of people think they could do all these different things, juggle all these different things. A lot of people think, I'll be friends with people that are toxic, or I'll be friends with people that are not as, inspiring. But you are a product of your environment. And if you have these people around you, you might not become the person you want to see tomorrow. Right. Yeah.
And one thing I've learned about like what you're saying right now is like you gotta make the effort yourself, even though they're not making the effort. And that kind of sucks because people are so like used to like it's a give and take, but sometimes you just gotta give and give and give, and like that's the type of effort you have to make if you want to continue this friendship with this person, So
yeah, hey, you just have to know what you want, man. That's all we've always been saying on this podcast. You taught me that too. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you're capable of, and you got to not be ashamed of it. As long as you're not, hurting anyone's feelings, you just have to. There's nothing wrong with being that confident, and being relentless in whatever you desire to pursue. All right.
Oh yeah, that's great, man. That's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you should end it there.
100%, buddy. That you read my mind. Really appreciate this, Christian Alphonse, coming back on the podcast. Entrepreneur, producer, podcaster. Is that what people say now? I don't even know.
No,
podcast host.
Yeah.
yeah. But whatever have you, I am so happy that you're relentless in your craft, just never giving up. I know you had your days where you felt unmotivated, and being a friend, I was there to uplift you as you were with me. So I'm looking forward to continuing that friendship, that collaboration, and having you back on the podcast in the near future.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back, Dan, man. Yeah, this has been fucking solid, dude. I miss you, man.
all right, buddy. Yeah, no, same here. All right. So having said that, thank you again, Christian Alphonse. Thank you again, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk soon.